time to keep the good times rolling, folks. Howdy and welcome to my aircraft. We're actually going to touch down quite soon. If you followed me, Alex Mandarino, your host of the Road to Primetown 2022, we only are days away from the summit itself, folks. The second annual Primetown hosted by Young Adult Cancer Canada, partnership with Cancer Care Manitoba and Cancer Care Manitoba Foundation. We're not far away. I mean, this same cloud has kind of followed me the entire way, and we're just going to let it cruise because we've seen nothing but positive vibes, some sun. I even have the sunglasses because we're about to touch down. And as you can see, I have the fancy hat as we start dabbling into some real people these days. I'm really, really excited to kind of kick things off in a few days. But that said, before we kind of touch down, before I land this puppy, cruise control is going to be super, super helpful. I can't claim to be an established pilot by any means. Maybe one day, maybe, the third year of Primetown, probably the fourth, fifth, or 26th. We're touching down soon. The radio's still been broken. We're kind of just going to do our final conversation with a YACCer and volunteer, Emily Condie, who's been involved with YACC for the past few years. And I'm actually quite excited. I have a fancy hat, obviously, to land, but also because we're going to be talking about art therapy. She's got a little bit of a background having gone to OCAD University for that program. And I'm really excited to talk to Emily and see what she's going to bring to Primetown this year as her first presentation with the organization of YACC. So we'll catch up with her in a sec, and I'll see you on the ground, folks. All right, folks, I am still in this aircraft. We're traveling at a cruising altitude. We're having some fun. Believe it or not, it is still sunny at this undisclosed location in the sky. And we're joined by a friendly face today as we continue our road to Primetown and have some discussion. As we don't have a lot of entertainment outside of this, I have Emily Condie, who will be joining us for a session that we'll get into a little bit more in a couple of minutes, but a YACCer, a supporter, and a volunteer, first time presenting at a conference such as this. So I'm super, super pumped to talk to her, one, and to see what she has to put together in Primetown in a week. Emily, thank you. And I think a great question to start, which is always a bit of a stumper, but what are 3 words that you would use to describe yourself?
Thanks, Alex. It's really nice to be chatting with you today. I guess the first word I'd go with is artistic, which I feel like is maybe a little bit of a cop-out, but keeping it on brand. Yep. I'm definitely a creative person. Maybe creative is a better word. I like to do things with my hands. I like to draw, paint, write. I'm primarily a painter, but I definitely am interested in also in curation and things like that in the arts world. And I work in marketing as my day job. So I've kind of been able to bring my creative lens in through that. Other than that, I would say that I'm definitely a caring person. I definitely like to focus on people in my life and make sure that everyone's, feeling supported as well, which I think also goes back to obviously my role at YACC and being a supporter primarily too. And the third word I would use to describe myself, that one's a bit of a hard one, but I want to say fun. I don't know if that's true, but I'm going to say it because I like to think that I'm fun.
The confidence, if you just bring it forth, it'll be true as far as I'm concerned.
Manifest
so let's rock with it. Manifest it is always a great mentality. And so really what I'm curious about is you bring up this concept of being artistic and creativity. So what had initially drawn you to art, painting, the theory behind it, so much so that you had really attended OCAD University and you continue to kind of study in some capacity and even doing a session? What kind of drew you to all of that?
I feel like the initial thing was I was never very good at sports, so I had to find something else to kind of go with. No, but seriously, I've always just really had a passion for art, and it's something that I've enjoyed, and I really like finding different ways to express myself. And I've really found that my art has been huge in processing a lot of stuff in my life, specifically, my sister's cancer journey. And so now I've kind of been able to translate that, and I'm, hopefully using the skills that I have to sort of bring that to other people and help them really translate their own expression. In terms of going to art school, that was definitely just I was, I didn't want to do anything else. I was I want to throw myself into this and see where it kind of ends up. And I've ended up in some really cool creative fields since then. So it's definitely the right decision. Definitely go to art school, kids.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely unique. And I think it's obviously you can use your creativity if you're somewhat of a creative person. And if you're not, it gives you a chance to use it as an outlet. So I love the fact that you said it uses it as kind of a therapy piece and to kind of, use it to support yourself as a supporter, because we all know how important that is. And so, I mean, that kind of leads into this next question, which is perfect. So what can attendees to Primetown expect to learn from your session? And I'll just read it out here. It's art therapy, exploring memories through patterns. So what can we expect to attend this session?
Yeah, so a little bit about it is basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be focusing in on a relationship that you've had with a person in your life, someone who's special to you, and kind of some core memories that you have with that person. I really want people to focus on like how they were feeling in the moment rather than what they were doing. And so it's really about, honoring your relationships with other people through pattern. And so we're going to do a little bit of writing, we're going to do some drawing. It's going to be really fun. I have Ellen who's joining me, who is an art
Yeah.
therapist. So she's going to talk a little bit more about art therapy and like ways that we can kind of use creativity to help us heal. And I think it's going to be really great. Definitely low stakes. So no one be too scared if you're not an artistic person. It's more about the experience than it is about the final product.
Love it. Love it. I know that everyone thinks like any interactive piece that they got to show it to the class and everything's got to be perfect. And I can tell I'm definitely not that outlet in terms of visual art. So I'm glad that there's low stakes. We'll keep that in mind. And so the last question's kind of off the board, and I just made a pun off the board, not at all intentional, but I love that that came together. What is your favorite board game to play, Emily?
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's Scrabble, which is I feel like kind of off brand. I feel like as a creative person that I'm not usually, like into like word stuff, but I just like anything that's like a little analytical or like trying to challenge myself. And so I've found that that's been something I've gotten like into playing with my partner and his mom lately, and so we have a good time playing Scrabble.
Love it. I think that's a universally solid answer because it seems like I could be very wrong, but Scrabble seems like it's just the one that is aged the best. It's the oldest type game that I think of. It's that first one. So I think it's a solid answer. And I appreciate the honestness. So that's perfect. So I'll leave you be, Emily. I'm going to get back to this aircraft that we got here, but I'm really, really excited to catch this session with you and your partner at this Primetown coming up. We'll chat soon, but again, appreciate it and have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, you too, Alex. Thanks so much for having me and good luck on your travels.
Thanks.